This week on the Owner's Pride podcast, have you ever felt disorganized? How do you keep track of your customers? How do you notify your customers when you have an appointment coming up? Well, this week, Brian and I sit down with Shawn Gervais, who is the CEO of Orbis X, a Canadian CRM company. Find out how Orbis X, the CRM, can organize your customers. This thing has AI built into it, sales funnels. It has so many tools. It is the Swiss Army Knife of CRMs. Make sure you stick around to the very end of this podcast because there is a special offer for you, the Owner's Pride podcast listener, to try Orbis X CRM for your business. All right, I'm excited for this one. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, here we go.
Welcome to the Owner's Pride podcast, where we discuss all aspects of auto detailing with successful detailers and industry leaders around the world. From San Diego, California, your host and our friend, Dan E. Williams. Take it away, Danny.
Welcome to the Owner's Pride podcast. I have today on the Owner's Pride podcast my co-host, Mr. Brian Prescott. How are you doing, sir?
Man, I am having an excellent time. It's, I think it got up to like 55 degrees today, so I got to go out and enjoy some nice weather before it snows tomorrow.
Does that mean you're wearing shorts and flip-flops?
No. I had to check, though.
I had to check.
All right, and then our guest that we have on today is from Orbis X, among a plethora of other companies. His name is Shawn Gervais. And Shawn, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, actually. Same thing, and I am wearing flip-flops, actually. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now you're in Canada.
I am, yes, for the time being. We used to live down south, and so the weather was a little bit different. But then we missed home. Most of our family's here, so we came back. But but still wear flip-flops indoors.
Got it. I'm not wearing any shoes. There you go. That's the secret for the Owner's Pride.
That's okay. We only
podcast.
see the top half, so that's fine.
Yeah. It's all business up here. I even got my collared shirt on, you know?
Exactly. See, that's the beauty about the world today.
All right. So I think, Brian, you just said the word business. And Shawn, the reason that we reached out to you to get you on here is Brian and I do business coaching in our network of authorized installers. And one of the things that we have uncovered really quickly is nobody is using a CRM. So along with some of the other CRM companies, we're pulling you guys in because we feel it is imperative to run a really smooth business that you have to be utilizing a CRM, whether it's for organizing your customers right now, reminding yourself of tasks to do later, or re-engaging with customers who may have kind of fallen off. It just without it, you're kind of stuck in the water.
Yeah,
so,
100%.
No room for growth, really, in my opinion.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, and it's also difficult to assess yourself. So to check on your progress and to make improvements, even if they're minor, even if your goal is to just be a solopreneur, it's still important to make sure that you're following your goals and you're going to reach those goals with each passing year. Yeah. Absolutely.
You're absolutely correct. And with Owner's Pride, we have Clark Sisson is one of the owners, and huge into the number side of things and graphs and charts. And by utilizing the CRM that we use for the big company, we get reports on everything. Again, I don't know how you could have a business without. So before we tie into absolutely. Orbis X and talk about how it can help change these guys' lives who have small businesses, let's kind of go back and dig a little into your past, because owner of 6 companies, what was the path to get you there? Are they all in computers? Did you study computers as a child? How did you get to this place in life? So we have a little context.
Yeah, absolutely. So good question. So always had a passion for business. Started my first company when I was very young. And fortunately, I ran that one, made some money, and then sold that one off. And then from there, I really realized that I couldn't work for somebody else. The way that my drive was,
So when you
Go
say
ahead.
started a company really young, are we talking 7 years old? You were selling lemonade, or 21 years old?
You know what? If I was to go back that far, absolutely, actually, because so at school, the school that I went to, the elementary school, a lot of the kids, they were buying things at the vending machines and things like that, and they were buying Kool-Aid packets at the time and just eating the raw Kool-Aid. It was the strangest thing in the world to me, but I realized that these were things that they were doing. So I went to
Oh
the store and I
yeah.
started. Trust me, it was weird. But so I started buying, chocolate bars and then Kool-Aid because some of these kids wanted to eat that raw for some reason. But so I was buying these things and then I was selling them, for a small profit. And so people didn't have to pay the vending machine prices. And then I was making a small profit. I was trying to save up for a bike at the time. And anyway, the school threatened to kick me out. And so my parents went in and they had a meeting with the school and they said, listen, until you remove the vending machines, we're not going to tell our son he can't be selling his own stuff there as well, period. And so it was, at that point, there was a little bit of, tension with the school. So my parents offered an alternative. They had a business, a trophy business. And they said, look, if you put together trophies for us, we'll give you a little, percentage towards your bike, and then you can do it that way. So they kind of harnessed my entrepreneurial spirit in a different way. But it was nice they went to bat for me at school. So if I went back to my origin story, I guess that's pretty much where it started. But my first
Hey kids,
formalized
you want
business
some Kool-Aid?
came later.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, hey, we all start somewhere, man.
Yeah.
They had those
Absolutely.
guys that were in my school too, and they sold either Now and Laters and Charms Blow Pops. Those were the
See?
two items that
It-
would always sell.
Exactly. And now they're probably gone on to start a software company, just like me.
Yeah, I wonder. I was the sucker
Yeah,
who
we
was
should
buying
follow up
them
on that.
I was the sucker
That's
buying
next
them for
week's episode.
inflated prices.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so basically from there, my first formalized business came later on when I was a teenager, and it was a video rental business. So I was renting DVDs, and this was back when, Blockbuster was a big thing.
What?
I realized that there was, yeah, I know. Yeah, what is that exactly? I'm gonna have to give, a little side note. You have to have something scroll across the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
DVDs were a disc that you put in it. Yeah, exactly. So I was doing video delivery basically. I just took something that already existed, added on a service, and then I partnered with pizza shops. And I said, look, people want pizza in a movie, so this way we can cross promote things like that. So it did quite well. It was called Empire Video. Paid for most of my university. I ditched that one. Just before Blockbuster came out with their no late fees, the unlimited no late fees. Anyway, so it was good timing for me on my part. And then I went from there. Yeah, exactly. It didn't work out well for that. I hope you don't have any Blockbuster stock. But so went from there to a variety of other businesses. And ironically enough, I went to school for 3 weeks to study computer engineering. And I realized I hated computers at the time. I said, I can't stand this. And so I went and I studied geography instead. But I met my wife at at college where I was going for computer engineering. So that was the only reason I think I was supposed to be there. And then after that, I studied geography. Actually, that's my major. But I developed a passion later on for technology. I think once computers kind of caught up to the speed that my brain was going at, and that's where I started, getting into programming in a serious capacity. But not to do things, in a fun context, but more I was trying to solve the problems that I was having in my own businesses at the time. And so I realized that computers could play a role in that. So it's the same kind of thing. I learn a lot of different skills. I read around 2 to 5 books a week, and I do that so that I can, hone my skills in different areas to solve problems. So one of my companies is a marketing agency, and even though we're classified as a marketing agency, we're more of a problem-solving agency because they come to us with problems like, search engine work. No one really cares if they're number one in Google. They care about the traffic they can get from Google. So you're just solving that sort of a problem. So it's same kind of things through all of our businesses.
What's one of your favorite marketing books that you've read or listened to that, that could apply to small business for our guys listening right now?
You know what? Honestly, a lot of business books are kind of dry. 2 books that I've read within the last year and a half that were fantastic were from the Walt Disney Institute. A lot of people think of Walt Disney as, the movies, things like that, but they actually have an entire marketing division. It's a university where you can learn, business things. So 2 books that they have, one is Creating Magic and the other one is Be Our Guest. Fantastic books. It focuses on the customer experience itself. So those were great books because, basically when you're dealing with, sales And that's all a business is. It's just sales. It's transference of that emotion. And you want to make sure that you can create the perfect customer experience. And that's going to result in, more referrals, in them purchasing more. Once you've built that trust, they keep coming back. They spend more each visit, things like that. So those two books helped a lot, I find. I get all my staff to read them as well. And another book that's got some marketing aspects to it, but also business development side is called Rework. It's from 37 Signals. It's a really short read. Each chapter is around a page and a half. That's what I mean by short. They've made it very concise. And I actually bought that book initially only because of one chapter. So basically 2 pages, and they got like 40 of my dollars. And it was on meetings and why meetings are ridiculous. So I make sure that all of our meetings are very strategic, because if you have, my company I used to have in the Caribbean, we had 32 employees. And when you have a meeting that's an hour long, let's say, 32 people there, that's 32 hours of time. So whatever you're discussing better be really worth it, because 32 hours, you can get a lot accomplished. So I bought that book strictly because of that, to demonstrate to people that you don't have to have a meeting for everything. A lot of things can be settled in an email. I know it's a little less personal, but save all the personal stuff for when we have, the retreats and the family building days where we, get together outside of work and we do things like that. So I've really taken a efficiency approach to all of my companies, and that's what we've employed in the software as well.
Okay. So what is, let's touch on your companies and we're going to lead up to Orbis X. What is your marketing company? What kind of businesses do you cater to? And, yeah.
Yeah, so sure thing. Yeah, so we have a marketing agency. It's called Creative Designs, and we do the traditional things such as, pay-per-click advertising on Facebook, Google, so on and so forth. We also do search engine marketing, graphic design, logo design, website design, a lot of that kind of stuff. Our target audience is really primarily small businesses, and we don't focus as much with startups. We do help startups sometimes, but it's just, we come in usually at the refinement stage where a business has, they've done good on their own to a certain point, and now they've kind of plateaued and they're not sure what to do next. That's where we usually focus. That's our niche, because they usually have a marketing budget to apply, and they also have metrics. It's difficult to help someone improve when you're starting at ground zero, and you don't want to burn up an entire startup business's budget trying things out, kind of thing. Even though we can figure it out, the trial phase is going to require a lot more of an investment that a lot of startups just don't have when they're solopreneurs, things like that. We'd love to help, candle makers, things like this, but it's one of those things where we're good at a certain thing and we do it really well, and we just make sure that that's what we focus on. So that's our marketing business. And then we also have a printing company as well.
So from a detail, since predominantly our audience is small business detail shops.
Sure, yeah.
What do you guys see as the most effective marketing type of campaign? You don't really have to give me the full recipe and give away your secrets, but
sure.
What top 3 things from bottom to top do you see that are the most effective for detail shop or mobile detailers to run as far as marketing campaigns?
Okay, yeah, great question. And no worries, there is no real secret recipe per se. Because the biggest thing is this: we could spell out the blueprint. And I wrote a book recently in 2020, and I give it away for free. And it's literally the blueprint of how we built our auto shop as well. So we have a detailing business as well. We do tinting, ceramic coating, vinyl wraps, the whole nine. And I lay out the whole blueprint of how we did that. And I've even given it to some of my competitors. And I'm not worried about it at all, because what we do, it's going to take them so much to get to the point that we are at, because we really follow that Walt Disney model where we create that customer experience. There's so many, different links in the chain that for them to get there, by the time they get there, they're going to be so far away from us, because we'll already be, on chapter 45 and they're going to be on chapter 2. So we just keep going that way. So I'm not too concerned with that. It's more, my goal is to really help people, and especially detailers. I know a lot. I've learned a lot about this industry in the last 2 years. I took my shop from nothing. We literally had a warehouse, and it was just sitting empty. We were parking cars in it, and we decided to turn it into this detailing shop. I knew nothing about detailing at the time. And then fast forward 1.5 years later, and we're now at 7 figures with 7 employees full time. I go into the shop maybe once every 2 months.
I find it really opposite of how a lot of the detail shops work. You went in as a business person and then made a detailing business. Most of them start detailing and really refine the art side and the finesse of detailing, but then they're behind when it comes to the business side.
They have
the business side.
CRM.
And they have the
exactly.
CRM, which we're going to get
Exactly.
to. But so as you being a business person, as you brought your business online, your detail shop, how did you approach it with your marketing expertise?
Yeah, no, great question. And so we built, there's me and my business partner, and we built this by design. We have a few companies together. So we built it literally by design. We sat down, we said, okay, we have 60 days. That's the first thing. You have to give yourself a timeline to get organized. And that way you can set some clear goals and milestones. And it's better to set your goals really high. So let's say, okay, I want to be on Google for my ads. I want to have, 100 customers. I want to have referrals, this and that. Even if your actual goal in your head, you might be thinking you want 50 customers that are recurring, things like that. Set your goal at 100, because I'd rather fall short of 100 and get, let's say, 80 rather than set it at 50 and hit 50. Do you know what I mean? So the first step was always looking at the business as a whole and saying, what do we want this to look like? And that came in 3 stages. It's what's it going to look like now? If it grows and it does work, what are we going to need in 6 months or 12 months? And then further down the road, what's our exit plan? And so that might seem premature, but that's stage 1 in my opinion. And it's because the exit plan matters a lot, because if your business does really well and you want to franchise it, or you want to sell it, or you want to pass it on to somebody, naming it after yourself really puts you into a box in a corner where it's difficult to do anything with that. And it's also difficult to expand. So our company name is Auto World. And yeah, that's it. I was waiting for
my detail.
The sound effects.
Oh, you got. Now I can do.
There we go.
I can do it. My detailing business that I sold to Dustin, who's our Western regional manager, was called Big D's Mobile Detailing, but he changed the name afterwards. So to your point,
so clever though.
Yeah. Of course, it makes And so that's where, if you choose the right kind of name, you're not boxed in. So if we went with something like mobile detailing or detailing in the name, we wouldn't have been able to easily add our other services and promote them as well. So by us sticking with Auto World, like even right now, we ran into a little bit of a problem because we started doing residential and commercial tinting as well for buildings. So we had to completely rebrand and launch a whole new website, everything like that. Now you're promoting 2 different ones. So we started with Capital Tint for that one. That's one of our other ventures. And so we do, high-rise buildings, things like that. But it would have been nice to do that under the Auto World brand, but because we had the word auto in there, it kind of boxed us in. But I mean, we wouldn't have been able to foresee that, but at least adding, ceramic coating, wraps, tinting, remote car starters, it was just a very seamless integration. So that's where thinking and planning in advance for things you might not even think are, things you have to really worry about, like your exit plan or where it's going to be a few years from now. Those things are really key. And then the second thing we did is we probably spent way too much money on chemicals in the beginning, but we wanted to just try random stuff, everything. And so we in Canada here, for example, salt is a big problem for us. Mm-hmm. So there's solutions like, vinegar that can work, but then the car smells funny. So for my time when I was living in the Caribbean, I remembered that the boats there, they deal with salt as well, and they have carpets. So there's a product called Salt Off that they use, and it's basically odorless. You put it on, and then you can run the extractor on it, and the salt just melts away. So we integrated, things. We really thought about the chemicals we were going to use, and we bought a little bit of everything with the goal to narrow it down to 4 or 5 chemicals, period, for everything. And so we looked at it from a scientific side of things. My father's he was a chemistry teacher, and he broke down chemicals to me, and he said, look, everything is either dealing with oil or dealing with water. It's those 2 bases that you have to work with. And then if you can figure out the chemicals for that, you just need to know what you're working on, and you can get rid of it. So what we did is we planned, and we said, okay, we can fit 18 cars in our shop at the same time. So we could potentially do 18 cars an hour if we could get our cleanings down to an hour. So we did our best. We started out, the first car took 8 hours. Then the next one, it slowly kept getting faster. And finally, we got it down to 1 hour and 6 minutes. And we time everything. And we make sure that we have a very streamlined process. So that was the first steps that we did. And it might seem premature because it's like, well, geez, at the time we only had, 2 or 3 customers coming a day. But the whole goal was, if we want to get to that volume, we have to plan for it now so that we're not having our customer experience. We get all these customers, we spend a fortune getting these customers, and then all of a sudden their experience is terrible. So exactly. And then it's just a very negative effect, and you end up in this downward spiral. So we planned for it in the beginning. And then what we did is we just targeted everything we could with guerrilla marketing first. So the best thing I can recommend for people is think outside the box. Like look for referral partners. Maybe there's a barbershop close by, or there's a grocery store that has a cork board where you can put up your flyers and the pull off numbers, things like that. Think what you can do free first, and just write it down on a big piece of paper. All these little, like I can go to the library and there's something there. I can put up a flyer. I can partner with this business or that business, or go to the parking lot and literally under people's windshield wipers. You know what? You're going to make some people upset. You're going to see your thing and rip it up. But that's okay. That's okay. You're not going to make everybody happy. You got to just get out there and don't be afraid. So that's where to start, is on what's free. The easy options, Google, things like that, we do those as well. I spend a fortune right now on Google ads, but it brings in the business, so it's fine. But we do a mixture of everything, and it all kind of balances out, because the same guy that sees us in Google, maybe he clicked, went through our site, didn't quite make a decision, but that still cost us money. But then he sees us on Facebook, sees us on Instagram, sees us on YouTube. All of a sudden he makes a decision, right? So you really have to be everywhere, but everywhere is expensive. It's either expensive in your time or your resources, getting things printed, things like that. So the best advice I could say is start with the guerrilla stuff, and then open your mouth and ask those people for referrals. And if you talk to someone and they didn't close, call them back and say, hey, listen, I know you went with another detailer. What would have made the decision for you to come, to my business instead? Just ask them. Most of the time, people will tell you. They'll be like, listen, it was your price. And then be like, okay, what was it about the price that bothered you? And if I could have added more value, would that matter? Because ultimately, price isn't really an issue if the value is there, right? So this is kind of the approach that we took with the whole business. It's a lot more detailed, of course, in the book that I wrote, and it's free, so help yourselves. And like I said, not even concerned if someone reads it or anything. It's just like Orbis X. We've created something so magical, and it keeps growing and building every day that I don't have any competitors in the sphere at all. So it's the same thing with our auto shop and everything else. It's
where would we find this book? Would it be on orbisx.com?
Right in the links from the show.
Good question. There we go. So
I've got it. So we'll put that into the show notes.
Perfect. That makes it easy. And just on that note, real quick, it is converted into an audiobook as well, and it's available in the Orbis X system. You just click on the marketing tab and then go to the detailing masterclass, and it's there for free.
Awesome. So really cool. I love the whole omnipresence. That's kind of what we're trying to do at Owner's Pride, is just create this omnipresence. So our name is seared into people's head. Now, once you start advertising and paying for advertising, give me your thoughts on video versus like a photo ads for social media specifically, I guess. And what kind of a form would either the photo or video kind of be to be the most effective to really get in there and touch the person's emotions? As I think that's solidly where you're leading with the Walt Disney theory.
Sort of, yeah. The like the Creating Magic one, just to touch on those books real quick. So there's Be Our Guest and then Creating Magic, and the big focus was with both of those books was focusing on, designing the whole process on purpose and all of the minor details. And so that's where things like landing pages and ads do, pictures or video work better. First thing first is you shouldn't be doing any marketing unless you're doing A/B testing, because how are you going to know if something's working? And something could work and you're like, oh, great, I got 30 new detailing jobs. But maybe if you had tweaked it, you would have gotten 60. You won't know unless you're doing both at the same time. So at any given time, my auto shop has 40 to 60 ads running, and they're all different.
Holy cow.
Simultaneously, awesome. Your A/B, or is it like A and then B and then compare?
Usually simultaneously, but it depends on the goal. And so it could be different things. Like, for example, the different times might be, we might do an A/B test where we run the same ad in the spring versus run it in the winter. That's where we would run them at, staggered times. But usually we'll run the same one at the same time. And if we were going to do a staggered time one, I'm just going to run 4 instead. So I'll run an A/B in spring, and then an A/B in the fall, or an A/B in the winter. And I might even take one of the winners from the spring and then test that against a new ad in the winter, things like that. So we get pretty involved with it, and we take I would say a unique approach to our ads. So for example, we don't show the same imagery to female audiences as we do to male audiences. Even age demographics, with children, without children, all these kinds of things. People respond to different images that they see, and so what we found effective is showing a truck, for example, to a male audience. Usually we get a better response seasonality. So for example, in the wintertime, if we're advertising like, hey, get free Aquapel for your windshield on your trucks, you can see better on the job site, things like that, we'll put that in, and we'll advertise to construction guys, things like that. But then if we're running something in the summertime or the spring, we'll say, listen, like, life is busy and little Johnny is going to be at soccer camp, so let's make sure that minivan looks clean, so that you're with your friends, and when you're talking and stuff like that, your vehicle looks presentable, so then we'll show like a happy mom or a dad driving with the kids in the back and stuff like that. So we really tailor the ads depending on what we're trying to show, and you have to get really, really, really specific. So same thing, if let's say we're going to go and we're going to just spread out through a whole parking lot, and we're going to take the whole staff and go down there and just put things under people's windshields, we don't just put a generic ad. We put something we know the parking lot we're going to go do. So we'll say, thank you for shopping at such and such mall, or thank you for shopping, even though we're not affiliated with the mall. We'll just say, thank you for shopping there, and then put it under. And then when they pull it out, they're like, oh, wow, isn't that nice of the mall to tell me this? And then it gives them a completely different response. Yeah, thanks. Yes. So we do stuff like that.
That's pretty cool. That's really smart.
Once again, all this kind of stuff for free in the book. It's help yourselves. Okay. So and that's where really my goal is, helping people. And so as you can see, like we've taken all of our businesses and built them the same. The reason our auto shop has become so successful has nothing to do with my knowledge in cars. My business partner loves cars. He's got like 7 of them personally. But myself, I've had the same car for like 8 years now. I could care less. As long as it gets me point A to point B, that's fine. It's a brand new car still, but I'm not into it in the same way as like gearheads, okay? But I love business. And so as a result, I could take any business, doesn't matter what it is, and turn it into something successful, as long as I can look at where it's failing, where it needs to go, and just assess it, because the principles are fundamentally the same. Like as far as I know, all of us, we put our pants on one leg at a time, right? Yeah, it's the process. Yes. Exactly.
Man. Okay, so you got your marketing company. That's one.
Yep.
Now we got to bridge the gap between one,
the other ones.
These right here in the middle before we get over here to this one, which is Orbis
exactly.
X.
So Orbis X is last. Exactly. Creative designs first. So then we also have a printing company. So a lot of my companies tie in well to each other. So we have a printing company, and we do printing all across North America. We have 3 printing warehouses, and basically you name it, we print it. And that helps a lot because I don't have to pay full price for my printing for any of my companies. So that helps, with us have a competitive edge there. But then also we do a lot of printing for big companies, things like that. Everything from, we print gift cards for Walmart all the way down to small companies like mom and pop shops as well. So that's our second one. That one's called Printing Shark. So I'm big on like animal names and things like that. You'll learn later. But so then we have Printing Shark is our next one basically, and then we have Auto World, which is our auto shop we've been talking about. Capital Tinting is one that we've launched recently, and then the 2 other remaining companies, we have CRM Ox, which is similar to Orbis X. It's software for managing a business. It's not really it's a CRM, but it's more. We call it a customer experience manager, not a customer relationship manager, because really what we're doing is helping you automate and manage and create a customer experience that's unique to your business and get a lot more done without you having to actually pull the trigger. So CRM Ox is very similar to that, except it's not specific to the auto industry. And then, of course, the last one being Orbis X as well. And so Orbis X is similar to CRM Ox, but it's just specific to the auto industry. Of course, the people that do motorcycles as well, we have the full database for that as well in there. But it's
so definitely the reason that you were pulled in was for the Orbis X, but definitely with your marketing, you could help out people in our audience as well as with the printing.
100%.
The printing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a discussion to have with you after we're done about that.
Awesome.
We work our way all the way down to Orbis X. Now, again,
Perfect. Yeah.
when Brian and I, when we're doing our business coaching, really the first step number one is we're getting people to get on a CRM. So whether they go to, we've talked to some people from the other companies. What is it about Orbis X that is kind of the standout that sets you up, and not to talk negatively about anybody else, obviously, but
no, of course,
what
we all have our strengths and weaknesses,
right? What sets Orbis X ahead of the pack for you? What's special about your company that's different?
Sure, I'd say there's two major things, and it's our artificial intelligence and our automation. And so, just to touch on the other side of it real quick for 2 seconds, is that so we do handle all of the basics. I call them the basics because it's what every CRM should do. Invoicing, estimates, payments, expenses, things like that. That's all standard stuff. Even appointment reminders. That was like wow technology 20 years ago, but now that's all pretty standard stuff, I think. And so we do all of the basics just like everybody else. Where we have differentiated ourselves is we take it beyond just the management. We focus on the growth and the automation, because the reality is you have to get to a point where you have staff if you're running a business. If not, you've got a great job, and that's good, and you're a solopreneur, and that's fine. There's some people that like to stay there and they want to be there, but if you want a true business, you have to get to the point where you have employees and it's scalable. That's when you transition into owning a business. Besides that, you're a solopreneur, and like I said, that's fine, and you can still use these tools because they are going to help you to automate your life, to make things easier so you can actually get more details done in a day. But ultimately, if you want to get to the point where you have staff and you're growing a business, that's where you're going to have to hire people to do things. And some of those tasks can be done by a computer. In fact, most of them. So, for example, at my shop, we got to a point, and I always hire staff first, see what problems they're solving, refine that process, and then we build a system to take over that job. And then we reassign that staff member to do something else that's more productive for the company. It just makes sense. So for us, we focus a lot on the automation side of things. So for example, upsells. A lot of these systems don't focus too much on the upsell side of things and booking appointments, and that's great. And we handle all of that for you as well. But you need to increase those ticket sizes. So you need to take the guy that comes in for just an interior detail, and if I can sell him everything, if I can sell him a new car, he's leaving in a new car. You know what I mean? And so we're selling everything we can. And as a result of that, I have to train my staff on how to, become salespeople as well as detailers. And for some, it's a tough skill. So what we found is that some of our detailers were okay at it, some of them not so much, but they realized that their, commission was reliant on it. So what we figured was, okay, what if we build a system that automates that process, follows up with the customer, and upsells some things specific to each service. So you can specify at our shop, for example, guy books for an interior detail, our system follows up and says, hey, Brian, listen, you're coming in for your interior detail. How would you like to get your two front windows tinted? How would you like to get, an exterior wash at the same time, or ceramic coating, things like that? And we'll add it on, and then we'll give you a discount as a result of that.
Is this all done like via text and email automated?
Yep, text and email, exactly. Yep, exactly. And the customer, when they click, they can actually choose which ones they want, add it on to the service appointment automatically.
Does the business owner have to set that up like how they want it to flow, or is it already kind of
yes,
prepackaged?
Exactly. Yeah, so they would set up, basically, it's really straightforward. You can basically choose a service, for example. You choose one of your services from the list, like interior detailing, and then you would specify what upsells you want there. So you would specify, I want aquapel treatment for the windshield, things like that. But then you can associate that aquapel treatment to multiple different services you have, so you don't have to retype it out, 10 times. But that way you can customize which ones show up for each service. So for us at our shop, we do it depending on season. So wintertime, we'll offer things like Aquapel because it's more important, winter when all kinds of stuff's being thrown on your windshield. But summertime, we want to push things that cost more money. So summertime, we'll push other things instead, like paint protection, get that shine. So when you're driving down the boulevard, everyone's looking at your car and it's shiny and this and that. So we push different things depending on the time of year. So like even PPF is big for us in the wintertime. So we customize it depending on what we want to push at that time. But that's just one of the examples of the automation we do. We save a lot of.
That's awesome. So I'm going to stop you for just a second and just rewind a little bit because we're getting into the features, and take me through, say I sign up with you, take me through your onboarding process briefly, and then let's tie into those features, because I know from personal experience, for our big business, we use HubSpot, and it's kind of overwhelming when you don't know how to make everything happen. And so the onboarding is really, tell me about how you guys handle that part to get people up to speed.
Sure.
And then let's crack the egg and just get in there.
Sounds great. So when we first started our auto shop, I went through and we started with Square month one. We had Square, and it just wasn't really doing what we needed it to do. It was great for a lot of things, but we needed more of the automation side of things. And I found there wasn't really support with the other systems that I tested, because we went through 47 different systems to see what else could be out there. So I set up accounts everywhere. My business partner set up accounts everywhere, and we just started playing around. And everything was either too complicated, or the onboarding process itself was complicated, things like that. And I realized, look, I'm a tech guy. I understand technology, but the guys I'm hiring may or may not be tech wizards and things like that. So I have to do something here to make sure that it's super, super simple. So the first step we did was make this so that it's dummy proof. It's literally something that I've got a guy working for us right now, for example. I have to set up his email when he gets a new phone. Like he's at that technology level, Joe, I'm sorry. But, anyway,
I know someone like that.
It happens, but he's great at what he does. And so we made a system that literally he took zero training to get familiar with the system, because it's just literally that simple. It's made, I use a lot of apps like Duolingo, things like that. And those apps are, they focus on gamification, and they make it really simple, and they kind of guide you through a process, and it just intuitively feels like that's the right path to go. So that's how we built this to start with. So a lot of our customers, they subscribe, and we'll message them here and there, and they're like, oh, I thought I had some questions, but actually I figured everything out. And we're like, oh, well, if you need us, we're here. So that happens a lot of the time. Now, for those that may need some assistance, what we did is we created a Learn on Your Own, Become an Expert in 3 Hours video series. So what we did is we took every feature that's in there, and we broke it down into approximately 5-minute videos. And so they're all clearly labeled. You can access them from the app, or you can go to the website as well, and you can click on, video tutorials, and everything starts off from high priority down to like things that if you want to set up some advanced settings, you can. But we figured keep them as 5-minute digestible videos. Then it's going to be easy for people to pick up. And that way, if you're stuck on one particular feature, you don't have to go sit through like 5 hours of something. You just go click and you find it. Now, instantly, upon signing up, aside from your happy face, you also get in touch with me. So I reach out. See what I did there? So I reach out and I say, listen, I'm available. Here's my personal number you can reach me at. Here's my email. Here's our Facebook. I message people on Facebook, WhatsApp, you name it. So I personally, I'm kind of semi-retired now, and I just make myself available to talk to people, help guide them through. They really don't need much assistance walking it through. Most of what it is whenever customers message Jeremy, who was supposed to be on the show today, for example, he messaged and he said like, hey, could you add this feature in for me? Yeah, no problem. 15 minutes later, boom, it's done. And it's literally that fast. So it's that kind of relationship is what I want to make sure that's nurtured. So I make sure that I'm available to answer any questions. As you've spoken to some of our subscribers, they've messaged at 2 in, I reply. They message at 6 in, I reply again. I really don't sleep much. I take cold showers, make sure I'm energized. So it's one of those things. And obviously, so this company Orbis X is relatively new. We launched last February, and as things grow, The support will be slightly different in a sense, because obviously I won't be able to service 10,000 people if they're all asking questions. But the beauty about it is we've kind of built a loyal following where people, they were with other systems before, they ditched them and realized that this is the way to go. And they're kind of helping other users as well. So it's something where they've become such believers. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so our family is kind of helping each other. But at that same time, what I've realized is that people don't have time to do like a one-on-one all the time. So that's available if they want to do it. But as much as we automate your business, we can also automate the support side as well. And so that's where, if someone has a question about how to do something, instantly, boom, that gets created into its own video, sent back to that person. Here's how to do it, or here's how, you can figure this out. And then now that becomes a resource for others, and it gets emailed out to everybody, things like that. So we really take an automated approach to things, because I'm not here to just automate detailers' business. I'm here to automate my own businesses as well. That's why we built Orbis X, was because I had to automate my auto shop.
I am digging it. I'm digging it. Okay, so we got the sales side of stuff. Do you have like sales funnels that work in this process too?
Oh yeah. So sales funnels for our side of things to recruit, or for detailers?
For the detailers, yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So that's where our best feature so far, and the biggest thing that people are switching for, is our artificial intelligence. So as I mentioned, we're big on the automation, but we're huge on the growth factor. So our artificial intelligence, it's something that we built from the ground up. It's machine learning. It learns about your business. And so it learns when your slow days are. So for example, it takes a look at your calendar. It's always scanning your calendar every 5 minutes. It looks at your calendar, and it's going to determine in the future, hey, you're usually busier on this day, but this day is slower. It's going to reach out to your past customers and ask them to book an appointment. Now, it's going to do that following some rules. It doesn't just go all willy-nilly like, oh, you came in yesterday. Hey, you want to come back today? No, it follows some ground rules, of course, right? Because that's just smart business. So you can actually give it some limitations. You can tell it, okay, AI robot, I want you to send this particular message, and I want you to send it only on these days. So like, don't worry if I'm slow on Saturdays, because I'm trying to take it easy. So don't try and book me on Saturdays. Only book it if it's a slow day that's one of these days. You can set those kind of criteria. You can do it per service as well. So look, only worry about interior details, because I can bang those out fast. Ceramic coating, don't worry about if it looks like a slow day, because maybe I'm taking my time with a vehicle or something like that. So you can give it parameters, and you can tell it, how far back to go. So you can say, like, find, slow days, and then reach out to interior details that were last done within the last, 14 days or 3 months or 2 years, things like that, and then follow up with them. So you can give it some criteria to follow. If you don't, it'll just kind of do its own thing. But if you give it some criteria, it'll follow that, and it'll stay within those bounds. But it will learn from your business.
Brian,
it's all automatic.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this.
You don't have to do it.
That's user experience right there.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely. And so the same artificial intelligence also assesses your business and lets you know which days of the week are your busiest, your slowest, how you're doing with bookings this month compared to last month. It takes a look at, the financials as well. So it takes a look and says, okay, if you have salespeople, for example, it'll assess who's selling the most and then give you reports on that. Yep, go ahead.
Does it create these reports for you automatically as well, or do you have to set all of these reports and charts up?
No, it creates them all for you automatically as well. Yep. And
does it polish cars?
We're working on that in phase 2.
The thing is that detailers do not look at these kinds of things. They don't look at what happened last month versus this month, or
true.
And so having this automated and
exactly, kind of, you have no choice. Yeah, it's right there. And on top of that too is, so I myself, for example, I was working at my auto shop when we first started it. I was one of the detailers, and I wanted to learn everything about the business so I could automate things further. And now, like I said, I only go in there once every 2 months maximum. Sometimes I don't go in for 6 months. Like it varies now. It was my wife and I working there initially in the beginning. We were actually the ones cleaning cars. Hi, how are you doing? Oh, can I interest you in this and that? And it really gave us insight into the business. And through that, we learned the things that we would want to know as the business owners. So I don't want to go in there. I don't want headaches. I hire a manager. He deals with things. But I do want to know key metrics, and I don't want to rely on him to put them together for me. So the system goes, scans every night, and at 8 p.m., I get a nice little gift wrap package, and it tells me how many new leads we got, tells me how many clients we had, what the dollar per client was added, how many bookings, how many no-shows, how many gift cards were sold, tells me how many expenses we had, everything. And it automatically converts that if we have customers that cross the border and pay with different currency as well, which happens at our shop. So it does all of this for me, and then it'll send me a weekly report as well, and it'll say, oh, here, by the way, you were getting the daily reports, but just so that you know, here's how your week was compared to last week, and so on and so forth. So it's perfect.
Is this managing your social media posting as well?
Not as yet. However, I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing that we're looking at implementing this year is going to be an automated social media campaign generator. I know that's a lot to fit in a word, so it's just going to be AI social is what we're going to call it. And essentially, it's going to scan vehicle websites, like wheels.com, things like that. And it's going to find articles, exciting things, and it's going to plot out an entire year of social media for you. And it's going to automatically spin and rewrite the content. So then all you have to do is fill in the gaps. And what I mean by gaps is the artificial intelligence is going to be programmed, to leave spaces. And those spaces are on purpose, because what you want to do is you don't want your social media to be completely marketing oriented, but in terms of like, hey, come in and get an interior detail for half price. People are going to tune out. You want to have that, but you also want to have some, intelligent content, some intriguing content that brings people in so they keep following your stuff, and then hit them with the occasional thing here and there. And
similar
so that's where
to like the 411 system?
Yes, exactly. So this will fill in most of your calendar, and then all you have to do is hit post, and it schedules them and releases them slowly. And then you fill in the gaps. So it'll be like, add my promo, and then it'll learn and it'll say, oh, hey, you have a gap this year. Did you want to add your promo from last year, for example, and things like that. So that's something that's in the works right now, and we're just trying to figure out the best way to do that because of some privacy laws that are changing right now. But it's coming for sure.
That's really awesome, because what your program is doing essentially is doing my email marketing campaign, but targeting 100%. Specific customers because of the service that they bought from me or whatever. So that's one less step that I have to export all my stuff in a certain file, then upload it to MailChimp, and you don't have to worry about that now. And here's the thing, like I'm sure when you had your shop, you forgot to ask customers for referrals. Well, after a successful job at the shop, this system automatically messages that customer and says, hey, by the way, do you have any, we need 3 friends from you. But it's a little smarter than that. The artificial intelligence takes a look at the date, and it says, let's say it's the start of the week. And it says, hey, Jim, listen, thanks for coming in and getting your detailing done. Our goal is to hit 15 new referrals by this weekend. Can you help me reach that goal? I need 3 names. And then they click, boom, they can put in the 3 names. Now, if it's towards the end of the week, it gives them a different time frame. It says, look, it's Friday. Thanks for taking my message. I'm hoping to reach our goal of 15 new referrals by this Wednesday. Can you help me reach that goal? And it'll ask for the referrals. So it does things like this automatically for you as well. And the automated Google reviews I want to touch on, because everybody does that, and it's a great feature. We have that as well. We love automated Google referrals. My auto shop is 1.5 years old right now, okay? We have 450 5-star reviews in 1.5 years. High five.
Wow.
Boom. Yeah. Well, cue that the clapping. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No.
Hold on.
It's fair enough. You get.
Hold on. How many 5-star reviews did you get?
450 plus. There we go. Beautiful. Well played. So that's perfect. And so some of my competitors in the region, they've been in business for 10 plus years, and they've got 30, 40, things like that. And so what we've done with the system is it doesn't just simply ask for a review. That's 10 years ago. Sending a message like, hey, can you leave us a review? Thanks. What it does instead is this: sends a message, and it has thumb up and thumbs down. Now, someone hits thumb up, takes them to your Google review, they leave the review. But what happens if someone hits thumbs down?
They get a
we don't send them to Google. Yeah, they get a virus, exactly. we send them to a page with a form where they can fill in their feedback. And it says, sorry, things didn't go as planned. Tell us what went wrong and how we can make it better. right? So it helps that whole customer experience rather than sending them to Google where they're going to vent their frustrations, right? So that's how we've also managed to not have as many issues, because then we actually hear the feedback from them without it being public, and we can correct any issues, because sometimes things happen. Like that's just the reality of it, you know? Like we're seeing 35 cars a day on average, even in the wintertime, and so it's like things are going to happen. That's just what happens. So it's how you deal with them that matters, and that's part of the creating magic. And so that's what we do. But
so
is
this like does it? Can you send text messages? Say, for example, you're working on somebody's car. You do your pre-inspection walk around and you make a little video of it. Can that sit in there and like maybe text to those people? And you're working on the car and you run across something, you find damage or you find something, and then you can just like shoot a text from the app that will kind of be like dynamic and live and add to that feed in their text message.
Yeah, absolutely. So we integrate with Twilio for SMS messages, so they can basically send messages. Now, the biggest thing is this, though. As the business owner, we know you don't want to be bothered with things, so customers often ask, when's my car going to be ready? They actually have a direct line to the technician working on their particular car. So they can send a message to that tech. But here's the thing, that tech is busy. So we don't want him to have to type back a whole message. So he gets a message saying, when's my vehicle going to be ready? He can choose from a drop down, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, all the way up to like 8 hours, or I think it's even 3 days or something. And he can send that, and it'll instantly send them back, and it'll say, your car's going to be ready in approximately X time, kind of thing. So we've streamlined things like that. But then other communication, if they want to do one-to-one, that's available as well. And then right from their profile, it'll just keep the running tab. For images as well, we took it a step further. You can actually do before and after pictures where we do engine cleaning, for example. A lot of guys do. We take a picture of the dirty engine, then we take a picture of the clean engine, and it builds a little slider. And you can go like this and show the customer, this is what it looked like before, this is what it looks like after. And then, so sometimes we do that as an upsell, and then we say, look, we can make your car look like this. We show the guy from before's, and then they say, yeah, sure, please do it. And then we just go ahead and do it.
Nice, as an upsell tool. That's great.
So
absolutely.
How about as far as like, and Brian, jump in here and help me, because I'm trying to poke a hole in this thing and I'm just hitting walls. How about something for generating leads? Is there any aspect of that?
I think that might be that.
Sure.
AI.
So a big part of the system itself focuses on your existing customers that you do have. However, that also focuses on leads as well. So if you have a lead in the system, you can have drip campaigns that automatically follow up every so often. So you can specify the days, and then you can specify the message. So one that works well for us is 3 days after, we'll send them a message saying, hey, are you still interested in, and then insert service name here, we put the variable, and then we'll say, I've got a great deal for you, give me a call. And that one generates calls like crazy. But that's how to nurture your existing leads. In terms of generating new leads from out in the world, that's where the AI social is going to really help for the social side of things. But the biggest thing is through our marketing company. And basically, we're offering free website design for people that sign up with Orbis. And we'll just redesign your website, and we'll set you up. And then we help with your landing pages and things like that. So we've actually done a few for a lot of your people. They've told us that they're in your detailed coaching program and stuff like that.
Awesome.
So we helped out with that. Even Jeremy, he was one of the ones, actually. It's too bad he couldn't make it on the show, but so we've thrown up a lot of people's websites, no charge, and I've got a great team. They're very fast, very efficient, and it's kind of a lost leader in a sense. I'm looking at this as more the big picture, building the whole community, and then there's other things they can buy from us. For me, it's the carton of milk to get them into the convenience store, right? So absolutely. Yeah. Plus, it fills a little bit of my philanthropic need to help out with people as well.
Yeah, and on the other hand, it's kind of brilliant once you get used to using it and something that does this much stuff for you next year. Why are you going to leave?
Yeah,
you're not going
exactly.
to.
Exactly. Two other things I wanted to mention real quick, or sorry, three, if I can, on the automation side, just because a lot of people, when they knew I was going on the interview, they said, listen, you got to mention these three because they've helped out a lot. One of them I touched on briefly, which is the bad weather automation. So that thing, it actually scans all the weather codes through all the airports throughout North America, and it basically will prompt you as to what you want to do. If you want to automatically let customers know that you're still open, even though there's a bad weather day, and you specify what it is, like if it's thunderstorms, freezing rain, whatever it is, But then you can also message them, prompting them to reschedule. So it's part of maintaining that good customer experience, and that's all automated as well. So the system, the AI takes care of that for you. You just choose what weather events you want. And then the last two pieces would be no-shows and cancellations. So the system is capable of having your cancellations be automated as well. We found that, bad weather days, for example, before we built that component, we were getting phone calls like, hey, listen, I got called into work tomorrow, or the weather's going to be bad, things like that. So we wanted a way to prompt them to stick with their appointment. So what happens is now, if someone clicks, they want to, cancel their appointment because things happen, we can offer them a second chance offer to keep their appointment. So it'll prompt them and it'll say like, are you sure? Listen, we can offer you X if you keep your appointment, if you can find a way to make it work. And that's all automated as well. And then the last part is no-shows. No-shows suck. Everybody hates them. So our system, the AI robot, follows up after a no-show happens. And it'll say like, hey, listen, we know life gets busy. Things happen. Sorry, we missed you. Is there any chance I can get you booked in for X date? And it'll propose one of your free dates. So it really takes it a step further like that as well. All for you. Yeah.
I mean, the
goal is for you to just sit back and watch.
This sounds so complicated, but it's not.
Yeah. But it's not. Exactly. And you get a free year. I mean,
it sounds like you've taken multiple other platforms and rolled them into a chimera.
One. Yeah.
So let's talk about this real quick.
We had to.
So you're offering Orbis X for free for a year.
For 12 full months. Yep.
And what kind of value is that? Because we always
it's $1,200. Yeah, exactly. It's a $1,200 value. So you get it free for 12 months. If it's a leap year, you get it for the extra day as well.
and
absolutely,
man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm
absolutely.
I'm a little bit floored by this.
Well, I'm kind of jealous that I'm not running my own detailing business right now because I'm like, well, shoot.
Download my book and I'll help you start one tomorrow.
I'd like to see this in action.
Dustin's on this thing tonight.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna. He's gonna be our guinea pig. That's what I was thinking this whole time.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, yeah, you get a free trial. Why not? It's a year long. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you have a whole year to play with it. And it does a lot of other things too that I obviously don't have time to mention on the podcast. But it covers all the basics. But we took a different approach for expenses as well. It can integrate into QuickBooks, of course, but we also built an entire expense suite within it as well. And there were some reasons for that as well. Is because that way you have the option, because QuickBooks can be a little intimidating for people, and now you have two different software platforms and you're trying to figure them both out. And look, if your accountant uses QuickBooks, there's no reason for you to have QuickBooks yourself because your accountant's using it. You just have to get them the files. So what we did is we took a different approach. We made a full expenses system so you can track everything, and you're even capable of putting in loans in there as well and then marking off if they're repaid or not. So things like that. And because at my auto shop, for example, we don't borrow from the bank. Myself and my business partner, we give loans to the company. I charge myself interest. It's my own company, but it's my money. It's my prerogative. And so we have to mark off when those payments are made, things like that. And so essentially we built this whole suite, and you can actually create an accountant login, and your accountant will be able to access the system as well as receive monthly reports. And they will be able to just take those reports, copy them to QuickBooks, and they don't even have to talk to you. So you just pay your yearly or quarterly fee to them. They handle all the accounting side of it for you, and you don't have to worry about it. So pretty much the system was designed so that you can just sit back, focus on growing your business, thinking about more marketing strategies you can implement, and thinking of other things that you can do, and then hiring people and getting work done rather than focusing on all this mundane tasks that literally programming a calculator can do.
Man, it's hard to believe that you just kind of came onto our radar when we were, talking about other companies. I think somebody told Brian about you, or somebody told Brian about you, who told me. That got a little confusing in the go around there.
I followed the train.
But holy cow, I'm super impressed, and
awesome, thanks. Now here's the crazy part. I built this myself.
Yeah.
In 2 months. Awesome. In 2 months. Yeah.
And at some point, I want to have you come on here and just talk sales with us. Because
Beautiful.
anybody who can sell children Kool-Aid with no sugar that they're going to eat straight is going to be able to sell anything.
Absolutely. and I have. I've sold it all under the sun. So absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot there. And as you can see, I'm big on systems as well. And so that's where sales is just part of a system, but you need the system for the sale. You really do. And so there's definitely, I look forward to that conversation as well. And if it's okay with you, I have a buddy I would bring in. He's launched an academy. He used to work for Grant Cardone, actually. And anyway, okay. He's got this whole sales academy. He's got some interesting stuff. I'll put you guys in touch. I think you'd be interested to hear from him too.
And your website is orbisx.com?
.ca. Yeah. Okay. Canadian company. So we went with the .ca.
So ORBIS.ca.
X. With an X. Yeah, exactly. So Orbis and then X. So here. Yep, you got it.
Like that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
And, so Orbis is from, it's a Latin word meaning spear. And so because we cover 360 degrees of your business, and then the X is for technology just because we're cool.
Okay. I like it.
I like it a lot. I can't believe I hadn't heard about you before. It was really cool to meet you.
I usually stayed under the radar. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
I look forward to, I'm going to digest that book that you wrote. It sounds like there's a lot in there. I'm going to tap you again, like I said, for sales. And
beautiful.
I guess get ready, because I do not see why I'm not funneling people directly to you.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, they get a free year, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we will be holding some contests as well this year, giving away things like polishing kits, things like that. And I'm also considering giving away, once, things open back up a bit for travel, giving away tickets where someone can fly down, and then I can take them through our shop and basically teach them how we do all our marketing and upsells and things like that as well. So I'll keep you posted on that as well in the near future.
I see no
Dan
reason.
And I already booking tickets.
Yep,
right
I see no reason that we're not going to be doing some work with you. That is for sure.
Fantastic.
Well, I guess for this one, though, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to be on the Owner's Pride podcast with Brian and myself, Shawn Gervais from OrbisX.ca.
You got it.
You tell me why you're not going to check this out. There's no reason.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Before we leave, remember to like and subscribe. Please do that. Write us a review. Let us know how we're doing on these Owner Pride podcasts, and we love your guys' feedback. Yeah, after we get off of here, we're going to talk to you about how we can get some more reviews for this podcast. It's awesome. Thank you, guys. And thanks for listening to the Owner's Pride podcast. Questions and comments, leave them for us on the Owner's Pride podcast Facebook page. If you got an idea for a show, leave it on that page. Contact me. Until next time, stay glossy.
We hope you've enjoyed today's presentation of the Owner's Pride podcast. To learn more about our products, become an authorized installer, or to get a quote, visit ownerspride.com.